Fans back. Video number 31, The Dolls. And the playlist Creepypasta, the first video in the playlist released on May 14th, 2022. Original notes are that this is the first and only time we've seen a character other than Nia used as the protagonist in a Creepypasta video. In the beginning of the video, the plushes do not have damage, but they have been damaged at the end. I've never actually read the story, so I can't comment on accuracy. Interpretation is that, just like the rest, the video is just an animated interpretation of a Creepypasta. What's new? Until today, I still haven't been able to find the origin of the story. In fact, I have no idea if there even is one. This story feels too reliant on visuals to be a creepypasta made in text form. Also, there's an extra doll to the right that has a patch covering its left eye, like Nia and again. Video number 32, He's Here in a Playlist Nightmare. A second video in the playlist released May 18th, 2022. Original notes are that the red dot is a consistent symbol that appears multiple times. Its meaning is unknown. Not anymore. A single frame before we see Shadow in the elevator, we see Nia in a shocked state. Not sure how to describe it. As mentioned, they're coming this and the aforementioned videos the reason I believe that Shadow is a male. And they're coming there in multiple beings in the elevator, but here only Shadow is left and he's very prevalent in the video. The poles become crosses when Shadow appears at the end, and we see Nia crucified and impaled on them, furthering the idea that Shadow is somehow related to religion. Shadow has a scarf here, something that has never been seen before. Original interpretation is that I believe that the beginning represents Nia realizing what happened to her, what the man who Shadow represents did, and as I mentioned before, it likely also tells us that Shadow is a male and a religious figure. As I mentioned, the red dot seems to be a symbol for an eye, something that someone is saying. It might be implying that the person who saw this girl also saw Shadow. That would mean that whoever this is different from the spikeless Shadow. Also, looking at the hair of this girl, it definitely seems to actually be Nia's mother. This weird dark frame might explain why she looks like that in later videos. Also, I have no idea how there's no mention of the text Kanashimi or Sorrow. This is why I call it the Sorrow Tower. Video 33, Movie Night, and the playlist Nightmare, the 10th video in the playlist released on May 29, 2022. Original notes were that the red dot returns. The red figures slightly resemble the ones in They're Coming, but they do not seem to be the same. When the red lighting appears and his drink and popcorn disappear, there's no difference from the seats in the beginning and the end of the video. They all are darker, and of course, obvious blood splatter. Original interpretation is that I'm not sure what it means. Maybe that Nia's mental state has gone to a point where even normal activities become corrupted and she's constantly tormented by trauma. So the only thing they can add is the possibility of this representing Nia, representing something that Nia saw that reminded her of something she experienced during this video from my video on the red dot. Video 34, Don't Get Your Hopes Up Part 1, in the playlist of the same name, the first video in that playlist released on June 6, 2022. Notes are that Shadow at the beginning again has a scarf. On the text, every T looks like a cross, which may be a coincidence, but it might be something to take into account, considering the large amounts of crosses we see throughout the videos. The first P in the text doesn't have a dot in it, while the second does. The time of the clock is to be 9:45. Nia seems to have been studying, meaning that she may be in college. Original interpretation that the beginning is a reflection of the series of videos. Nia keeps trying to escape, but the closer she gets, the clearer it gets that the escape is not true. The only thing that has that shadow is on the other side of the door. The door represents escape, and this shadow guy might have escaped already and is trying to help Nia out. This one also looks rather small and has a scarf. He looks a little like the one from He's Here, though definitely smaller than that one. Video 35, Don't Get Your Hopes Up Part 2, in the playlist of the same name, the second video in the playlist, released in June 10, 2022. Note that the clock does not change. And here we see Shadow without the scarf and with the spikes on the shoulders, much unlike he was in the previous video. During the part where Shadow kills Nia, we see several things, such as a red eyeless face, a heart monitor, a pentagram, two perspectives of an MRI scan, and a Japanese Buddhist chant. Original interpretation is that considering that Insanity is the next playlist after Don't Get Your Hopes Up, the medical imagery might be related to that. Though I'm not sure what the other imagery could mean, especially the Buddhist chant. So the symbols that appear, two of them are related to medical things. The one that really interests me is the MRI scanner. The hospital is a place where the cult operated. This sequence could represent the shadow capturing Nia and putting her in the hospital. The chant is the Daimoku, pronounced Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. It translates to devotion to the mystic dharma of the Lotus Flower Sutra. This chant is especially associated with Nichiren Buddhism, so the relation isn't very easy to find. The most interesting thing is this religion's focus on the Lotus Sutra, which is a holy text. Its founder even criticizing other forms of Buddhism for perceived separation and distraction from the scripture. This will need further analysis. Video 36. Don't get your hopes up, part 3. This in the playlist of the same name, the third video in that playlist, released on June 16, 2022. Notes are that the text, no resurrection with a crucifixion, is in the same style as the text from part 1, with a T resembling crosses. Which interpretations that I'm not sure what the text means, so it might just be a reflection of Shadow's motivation of Nia. I have nothing to add. Video 37. Don't get your hopes up, part 4. In the playlist of the same name, in the fourth video in that playlist, released on June 21st, 2022. Before the creature reveals its tentacles, a white form appears. I'm not sure what it is. The creature resembles something restrained to a bed. This is the first time in a series of videos where after Nia's death we aren't shown the beginning again. Original interpretations that may represent how, even if she isn't being tormented by Shadow, it's always something else, likely mental health. The only thing to add is that the creature up there has tear-like markings on its eyes, like Nia does when she looks hollow. Video 38. Don't get your hopes up, final. Playlist of the same name, the fifth video in the playlist released on July 7th, 2022. Notes: the books are missing from this part. We see the creature has captured a Celtic cross. Original interpretations, considering the context of the previous videos, Shadow will likely enter in pursuit of Nia, only to fall for the same trap that Nia did. What exactly that trap is, I'm unsure, but it seems that Shadow tried to hide behind religion as the final thing he does here, which also happens to be the last canonical appearance timeline-wise, is to turn to a cross. If we also take into consideration that the creature resembles someone who is restrained in the next post's insanity, this may be symbolic for Nia killing Shadow. I have nothing to add. Video 39, don't get your hopes up full. It is not a playlist, the 10th video on a playlist released on July 8th, 2022. Notes were that the flashing images were not present in the original part 1 of the series, but they are the same as the ones that flash in part 2. A heart monitor, brain scan, the pentagram, and the Japanese Buddhist chant. Text do not get your hopes up are right here, but not the original part 1. The originals also do not include Nia talking to herself. The flashing images in part 2 are in a different order and a notably shorter sequence. The text no resurrection with a crucifixion is again read, while it is not the original part 3. The creature's movements are notably slower compared to the original part 4. The blood splatter and the sound effects were not present in the original part 5. Original interpretation were that the scream sounds very human. This paired with the blood splatter can be used to support the idea that it represents Nia enduring torment until finally killing the Shadow. I have nothing to add. Video 40. In the playlist Nightmare, the 8th video in the playlist Analysis released on July 12, 2022. Originals where the squelch seems to suggest that the monster is actually there. The monster is very humanoid, though it strangely seems to be shorter than Nia. The original interpretation is that it might be a reflection of a common fear. I find it a bit odd how nonchalant he is about the monster. I have nothing to add, and with that, this video is over. Fun.